Yes, well, he joined the army in the 30s and went overseas as soon as the war began, I think in January 1940, and he was part of the Canadian contingent, Canadian and British contingent that went up into the Netherlands after D-Day, and he was in Deventer, and he managed to liberate it without blowing it up because of the help of the Dutch underground, who smuggled him a map showing where the German emplacements were. So it was still quite a hard fight, but we have been there, and we have been to the places there that were important for him, including the river that they had to cross. So it was a very important spot, and unless the Allies could get over that river, they couldn't get up into Germany. So it was necessary. It's where Napoleon crossed.
Yes. So you could say that the Netherlands play a historical role in your family, and your family does in our history. Now, we're living in very tense times right now. There is a presidential election coming up. We're living in times of Corona, of Me Too, of the Black Lives Matter movement. Do you see elements of your books, The Handmaid's Tale, in these current times?
I'm not the only one to see that. You left out a very important thing, which is we're also in a global climate crisis.
Right.
So we are being hit with a number of things all at once. And when you have fear and chaos, that is when dictatorships typically get in. So fear, panic, chaos, social disruption, anxiety. Someone comes along and says, "I can fix this for you."
Yes.
But there's a price.
Right. When you were writing Handmaid's Tale, were you thinking of the times that we are living in now and a president that we see now in Washington, D.C.?
That was not anticipated by very many people. But the seeds of this kind of thinking were already there in the 1980s. And for somebody as old as me, who was born in 1939, we've seen this before. It's never exactly the same, but the patterns are the same. And dictatorships always want to control women. Well, they want to control men too, but they want to control women specifically in respect to babies and who shall have the babies, who shall not have the babies, what kinds of babies they shall have. All of these things get very dictatorial.
You don't strike me as a woman who gets nervous very quickly. Still, what do you make of these times? When you look at it, when you see what is happening in your neighbor country?
I haven't seen polarization like this. In fact, I've never seen it because I wasn't alive in the 1930s, but I don't think we have seen this since the 1930s in Western democracies. So we've seen it in other countries, but we haven't seen it in the United States, this polarized. It's always been a pretty fractious and divided country, but this is extreme.
President Trump has said this week, actually, that he not automatically will accept the outcome of the elections if he loses. What do you make of that?
Well, it looks like a coup d'état. But how is the United States going to handle it? The Army swears their oath of loyalty to the Constitution of the United States, not to an individual. And they fought the American Revolution because they didn't want to have a king. So if he wants to be king, there may be a number of people who take objection to that.
Are you worried that he could decide to not leave the office, not leaving the White House, and maybe start something else? That's what we hear now, that people are afraid that there could be social unrest or even violence.
Well, he likes drama. But he doesn't seem to like to be in violent situations himself.
So that's something that maybe gives you some comfort then?
don't know. I mean, the United States, it's very hard to get everybody lining up and marching in a row. So I think it would be seen as an extreme threat to democracy. Democracy in the United States is aspirational, by which I mean that is what they think they are. There's always a gap between what a country thinks it is and says it is and what it actually is. That's true of every country. But threatening the aspirational ideal of democracy, that's not going to happen easily.
Now, we are talking about your book and the presidential elections, Handmaid's Tale, in which we see this dystopian society and the role of women is basically zero. They have no rights except a couple of chosen ones. Now, a week ago, a very interesting woman died, a very powerful woman in the United States, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the 9 Supreme Justices of the Supreme Court. How important do you think that this is for the history of the country and the elections, her death?
I would say very important. If we're doing a survey, 1 out of 10, I'd say it's a 9. But time will tell. So it could be forcing a new Supreme Court judge in could be a plus for the Republicans, or it could be a negative for the Republicans. It could be a plus for the Democrats, or it could be a negative for the Democrats. I think we're just going to have to wait and see how that unrolls.
The candidate for that President Trump wants to have on the Supreme Court is Justice Amy Coney Barrett. What we know about her is that she is favored by conservatives and anti-abortionists. What do you think? Will she be on the Supreme Court, and what could be the consequences for women in the United States?
Well, we cannot second guess the future, especially in times like these. It's interesting that she's a woman and is going to be a judge on the highest court of the United States. So if women are negligible, then that would not have happened. But again, it's ridiculous to think that all women think the same way just because they're women. All men do not think the same way just because they're men. And women are human beings. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So it remains to be seen how that plays out. Sometimes they have put judges into the Supreme Court that they have thought were very conservative, but a judge is a judge, and their loyalty is to the law, and again, to the Constitution of the United States. So a lot of what goes on in that country is how various judges interpret the Constitution.
Right.
And I expect there will be many a case, but the Supreme Court cannot automatically decree anything. They rule on cases.
Now, we don't know what's going to happen after the 3rd of November. As you said, it's a very close race, what we know of it right now. Joe Biden, the candidate for the Democratic Party, and President Trump seem to be very close in the toss-up states that are really important. Now, what do you think? Many young women were inspired by your books, by Handmaid's Tale and the follow-up book, Testaments. Do you think that there is a lot of energy in this new generation to decide the outcome of this election?
Well, let's hope they vote. What has happened in previous elections is that older people vote disproportionately. So they're more likely to vote. If young people would use their votes, if they had used their votes in the last election, the outcome would have been different. I think the wild card in this election is how much cheating, stealing, and vote suppression will there be. That is the wild card. Without that, the election is not as close as you may have thought. And you can look at the odds on a site called 538, which factors in all kinds of variables and is calling, I think it's 2377. Those are the odds. So they're a little bit lower for Trump than the odds of Hillary Clinton were. But as you know, it's this electoral college matter. It's not a majority of the votes. it's whether it's a majority of the electoral college votes.
Yes.
It's a system that was brought in the 18th century.
Right.
It's kind of odd, and people really have to get their heads around it, because I don't think any other country has a system like that.
I know the site 538. It's a lot of people are looking at it. At the same time, we know that opinion polls can be totally deceiving, like in 2016, when everybody thought, and also the pollsters, that Hillary Clinton would have an easy walk into the White House. So do we agree on the fact that anything can happen right now?
Almost, well, within a range, anything can happen. And if there's a wild card, such as a comet hits the Earth, then everything will change. And the wild card in this election is the coronavirus, because that was not expected. The response of the president has now been, we now realize, very damaging and also disingenuous, because he knew in February what the virus actually was, and he repeatedly lied about it. And as a result, it's out of control in that country, and a lot of people have died. So that has changed the odds since March. He was favored in March and has gone downhill since that time.
Yeah. Last question to you, Margaret Atwood. If after the 3rd of November, President Trump will win and he will have his second term in office in the White House, what will that mean to you, and what will that mean, you think, to the United States of America?
Well, I'm Canadian, so we tell our American friends we have a lovely church basement and a nice hot cup of tea waiting for you. And this is not the first time it has happened. And as you will know, I've put that into my novels, The Handmaid's Tale and The Testament, because when things get really ugly in the United States, people come to Canada.
Thank you so much, Margaret Atwood, for talking to us from Canada. Thanks a million.
Always a pleasure. I hope to be there soon.